Well, you probably remember that massive AT&T outage that we had just a few weeks ago, a third-party fiber cut exposing just how vulnerable our communications and power grids are. Well, we'd like to welcome back the producer and director of the acclaimed documentary Grid Down, Power Up, David Tice, to discuss how we can do better to protect our infrastructure. David, welcome back.
So glad to be with you and your viewers.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on the first time to talk about your documentary, which I think shocked a lot of people into realizing that our infrastructure really is quite vulnerable. So maybe you can walk us through a little bit as to how at risk we are seeing our grids go down at the hands of bad agents.
Well, we produced this award-winning documentary. It's been out for about a year and a half. We're planning, it's now available on Salem Now, as well as on Newsmax. The big risk is if the power grid goes out for an extended period of time, as many as 90% of Americans would die.
Wow.
And that's because we are so dependent upon our municipal water systems, all our civilian infrastructure is dependent upon power. And we have about 70,000 substations in our country, and essentially as few as 9 critical nodes of substations being taken out could cause the power grid to go out for as long as 6 months, because these massive transformers are massive,
Yeah.
weighing multiple tons, and they're made overseas, and there are backlogs as long as 4 to 6 years currently.
Oh, goodness. And there's so many different ways in which our power can go down. I mean, just recently an article came out locally about folks on Johns Island that are seeing power constantly getting cut because of all the construction that's happening. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad actor, but then when you add the nefarious aspect to all of this, if someone really wanted to, they could take down the country and, like you say, put close to 100 million people at risk. So what are some of the things that we could do to better gird our systems to ensure that something like this doesn't happen?
So there's something called neutral ground blockers, which is a fairly not that expensive of a device that could be utilized on our major massive transformers, 6,000. And the cost of that would be as low as $4 billion, could protect our power grid and our transformers and our other major equipment in these substations from going out. So we are re-releasing our documentary. We hope to be on Netflix in the next 2 or 3 months. And we're going to talk specifically about this $4 billion initiative. There is a company out there based in Minnesota that has a proprietary neutral ground blocker that is being utilized by WAPA, as well as TVA, as well as a major utility in Minnesota for the last 10 years. So it's such a travesty that we have this kind of equipment that would protect us, and it's not being utilized.
So we have the answers, we have the equipment and technology, and we also can find $4 billion somewhere. That really doesn't sound very expensive at all, but it also starts at the top. So what can legislators, lawmakers do to take this seriously and to do something about it?
Well, in the state of Texas back in June, thanks to the efforts of Senator Bob Hall, who had worked for 4 prior legislative sessions, finally passed a grid protection bill that is establishing a commission that it will tell the utilities what to do. And we think there could be stronger bills out there. There are a couple groups, one of them called the Secure the Grid Coalition. The second one is called the EMP Task Force. There's a number of individuals that if you reach out to me at griddownpowerup.com, we can put people in contact with. We, on our Grid Down Power Up website, we have the facility by which individuals can add their home address and essentially have pre-written emails,
Yeah.
and where you can make phone calls to your legislators, regulators, and members of board of directors of your public utilities.
Fantastic. Well, David Tice, thank you so much for leading the charge on this and certainly making it easy for people to contact their legislators. This is such an important topic, and we appreciate it. So we'll make sure to check out Netflix in the next few months. You got to watch this thing. Thank you so much.
Thanks again.
We're back after this.